welcome back to the Pantry Kitchen. I'm Catherine and today we are making my famous lemon squares. You can call them lemon bars, lemon squares, whatever you would like and however you would like to slice them. The world is your pickle, do what you wish. We are going to start with the crust first because that has to go in the oven at 350 for 15 minutes. So it's just a simple shortbread crust, and then while that's baking, we'll utilize the same bowl and I'll show you what we're going to put in the filling. So to get started, I've got 1 cup of softened butter. If it's a little melted, that's okay too. Like I said, it's going to go in the oven to bake. I've got sugar, flour, and a little bit of salt, and that's all you need. So I'm just mixing all that together just with a spatula, and then I'm going to mix in the butter. And this, we're just looking for it to be kind of a rough crumb, so we kind of want little butter particles. So just take your time and press it into the flour so that all the butter can be distributed evenly, and then we can press it into our tin. So I've got a 9 by 13 rectangular baking dish lined with some parchment paper and of course sprayed beforehand with some non-stick cooking spray. And then that's what we're going to bake it in. So this is an easy recipe to double or even triple. You can make it in a large sheet pan. You can cut this in half and just put it in a 9 by 9. That will kind of yield a bit thicker lemon square than doing it like this, because this won't technically be double a 9 by 9. But if you're looking for that thicker, maybe more of a dessert, plated dessert, then you can kind of do that route. This one is really good to cut in mini bite size for the holidays, for a family gathering, whatever you wish. So now with the side of my spatula, I'm just kind of cutting in the butter. You can also do this with a pastry cutter, but I think it's just as easy with the spatula. And you just want little crumbs that we can then press into our pan. Alright, that looks good. So it's going to be crumbly like this, but once we push it in, you'll see that it sticks together. Like I said, it's going to bake as well, so that will hold its shape once we bake it. Now into our baking dish. Want to get every little bit in there. And I use a combination of my spatula to kind of put it all even first, and then I'll go in and spread it with my hands and press it down. And we don't want to tightly compact this, but we do want to press it down. And just take your time. Sometimes I need a little extra flour on my hands because of the butter. Where is that? Where is it? Let me go get it. Alright, I got it. We're not really going to go up the sides too much. You can create a bit of a border just with your hands. And just make sure you get all of it off. Okay, and once this is all pressed down, we're going to stick it in a 350-degree oven for about 15 minutes or until it's lightly golden. Okay, we want to get this, and then you can talk to me while I squeeze these. Then I'll tell you what I'm coming up with. I've got all sorts of Netflix stuff. Hey.
Just get the old Instagram.
Yeah, you get it, Bri. Help a sister out. Here's what you'll need for my lemon squares filling. I've got sugar in my bowl here, granulated sugar. I've got whole eggs, a whole cup of fresh squeezed lemon juice. I'm going to do a zest of 1 lemon, and then I also have a cup of flour, so that will help thicken it, but that will go in at the end. So it's a very simple filling, but very, very delicious. So to start, I'm going to do my 7 eggs in with my 3 cups of sugar. And I know what you're thinking, holy moly, that's a lot of sugar, but this is a 9 by 13 dish, and we also have a whole cup of lemon juice. So we gotta balance it out, and I promise you, they have their sweetness, but they're really tart and delicious, and you need that sweetness because without it, they would be like sour, and we don't want that, we just want tart. So 7 eggs going in, we're gonna whisk that until smooth. And then we'll go ahead and add in the rest of our ingredients. So just take your time, and I'm just using a whisk, and the bowl that we did the crust in is just fine. It'll all bake together. These are really a nice addition. I am a very seasonal baker, but I just love a lemon square all year long. And this is something too, I don't really think it's a very holiday dessert, but what I do love about it is that if you are having a brunch, or if you're cutting them into the mini squares, like I said at the beginning, it's a really nice brightness to end your meal. So if you are having, you know, a luxurious kind of heavy holiday meal, it's really nice to break it up at the end and not have another heavy dessert. So this is nice. You get that sweetness, but you don't need, you know, a whole slice of pie. You can just have a couple mini squares with maybe a tea or a cocktail. I know, I think one of the next videos we might do, we've got this really cool cocktail book and different cocktails that you can make. So I think maybe we'll share, you know, what cocktails I'll be making this holiday, because I just think that a really good cocktail, especially if you're of age, if not, you can totally make it a virgin mocktail. I think it just really kind of rounds out your holiday hosting, if you are hosting, or you know, if you're going to a party and maybe you're in charge of bringing something or want to help the host out. But I think if you're hosting, a couple signature drinks for your party is nice to do. Kind of ups the level of your game, especially with our holiday parties being a little bit smaller this year. It's a lot easier to do kind of, you know, a fancier cocktail to serve your guests instead of like a punch, or, you know, something more simple when you're having those big family gatherings, right? You want to keep it simple when you're doing it like that, so you kind of do self-serve bar is easy, or just wine. But I think now that we're having more intimate gatherings, being able to go a little bit fancier for your meal, for your drinks, for your decor, or even your dessert, I think it really makes your guests feel special, and you have a little bit of an easier time to take time to do those things as opposed to cooking for 30 or more. So now that I have all of my liquid in here, sugar, eggs, the lemon juice, and the zest, I'm going to add in my flour. I'm going to whisk it in so that there's no lumps. And I'd like to do a little bit at a time because, like I said, I don't like lumps in this filling whatsoever. And this will sit on the side, so you can make it ahead of time. That's no problem because our crust is still baking. And then you're going to let your crust cool just a couple minutes. I don't wait too long. I've tried both and I don't think there's much of a difference, so I wait just a few minutes so it's not super piping hot. And then I pour in the filling, and then we bake it again. And you're going to top this with some lovely icing sugar, which I think just really mimics, obviously, you know, kind of the look of snow, and I think a little sprinkle of icing sugar makes everything really pretty. So now this is nice and thick. You're going to set this aside and make sure everything's incorporated. And I will again give this a good vigorous whisk before I pour it over my crust, because now we're going to set it aside so it'll kind of not separate, but it'll kind of settle, and the sugars will kind of eventually fall because they're heavier. So I just give it a nice whisk before we pour it into our crust, but I'll show you that in a second. Alright, our lemon squares are out of the oven and they are cooling. You want to fully let these cool after about half hour. Once this is still warm, so once the pan is kind of cooler to the touch, that's when I'll go ahead and remove them. Put the lemon squares on a cooling rack. Again, cool completely before you slice, store, or serve. I like these completely cooled for serving purposes, and also dusting with icing sugar. So we will add a clip once they are fully cooled of what they look like on the inside and how I decorate them with icing sugar. But other than that, guys, this is my lemon squares recipe. I hope you make it and enjoy it, and I hope you have a wonderful holiday season, and stay tuned for more holiday content. Bye, guys. Alright, juicing. Holiday, hoobity, what is
Too much, too soon, now.
Yeah. hoobity
Waddy.